I trust you're enjoying our time together, going through the I am statements found in the Gospel of John. All these statements are made by Jesus himself, about himself, and they tell us much about his life, his ministry, his purpose for coming. And these are profound statements that I trust we're not only reading and quickly going over, but you're taking some extra time to ponder and pray over and thank the Lord for what he has done. We've looked at three statements so far. That he says, I am the bread of life, the one who has come to satisfy the spiritual hunger of all people. He said, I am the light of the world. I've come to give direction, and that light leads us out of the darkness into light. And then in chapter 10, he says, I am the door of the sheep. I protect the sheep. I also lead the sheep into life. Banking right off of that one, in the same chapter, is a fourth I am statement, and he makes it down in verse 11. He says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. So the good shepherd before, and just a few verses earlier, was the door for the sheep. He protected them at times when they were most vulnerable from the predators. And here he was speaking of human predators who would come and take advantage of the sheep. But he was not like that. He led them in life. Now he says, I am the good shepherd. And what does the good shepherd do for the sheep? Well, he lays his life down for them. So he takes it a little further. The shepherd who was the door to the sheepfold, for the sheep, the door of the sheep, he would be there to protect them. He would fight for them. He would keep them from wandering out at night and keep anything from coming in at night to bother the sheep. But he goes a step further here as a good shepherd, and he says, I lay down my life for the sheep. Of course, the good shepherds of that time did exactly that. They would fight predators. They would fight thieves. They would do whatever they needed to do to protect their sheep. Their top priority was the flock. Some lost their lives protecting the flock. That's what the good shepherd did. He was not a hireling. He said in verse 12, he was a hired man, or hand, and not a shepherd, who is not the owner of the sheep, sees the wolf coming. He leaves the sheep and he flees, and the wolf snatches them and scatters them. He flees because he's a hired hand, is not concerned about the sheep. So that's what a hired hand does. That's what people, and I'm sure he's probably looking right at the Pharisees and false teachers when he was saying these things. You people you're fleeing when the people need you. You're not truly bringing healing and guidance and shepherding to the people. You're a hired hand. But he says, I am not like that. Verse 14, I am the good shepherd, and I know my own, and my own know me. He says, look, as a good shepherd, I don't run. I fight. I protect. And I give my life for the sheep because I know them and love them. He goes on. He says, verse that I know my own. And verse 15, even as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. Now, what he's saying here is this. He's pointing, of course, to the cross. He is going to not only be a guider in the sense of being the light for the sheep. He's not only going to be the one that satisfies our spiritual hunger. He is going to do something far more important than any of these. He's going to die for the sheep. He's going to lay down his life for the sheep. Now, I'm relatively certain nobody got that point in John chapter 10. He hadn't spoken even to his disciples too much about his ultimate intentions of going to the cross and the resurrection that followed. But they would get that point eventually. And when John wrote this 3 decades after the other Gospels have been written, 6 decades after Jesus had actually laid down his life, he knew exactly what Jesus was saying. And he points us back, and he points his early readers back to the fact that Jesus Christ is not just a great example. He's not just the perfect, compassionate shepherd of the sheep. He is one who actually gave his life. He spilled his life blood to pay for the sins of the sheep so that those sheep could be his forever. And he does that because he loves us. He does that because he is the great shepherd, but he had to actually die in our place and die for our sin. And so this is a very special one of the I ams because it leads to the cross itself. Jesus Christ is the one who is the good shepherd, and he lays down his life for you and I. If Christ had not died for us, you and I could never be saved. Let's glory in him. Let's praise him for being the good shepherd.